Stand please, do the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Jay is not here, so I guess could we just have a moment of silence, please? Okay, thank you. Have a seat. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. The first thing that we have tonight is a public hearing.
Yeah, baby, somebody. Yes.
You need a motion to open up the hearing?
I move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Walton, Delaware County, New York, at the Village Hall, 21 North Street, Walton, New York, on the 3rd day of March, 2014, at 6 p.m. to hear public opinion regarding adding Chapter 40B, rental property and agent registration to the village code. All interested parties and citizens will be heard who are for or against this addition.
Okay. Is there anyone that would care to make a comment or a question or anything regarding this? That's sitting there? Yes.
I would.
Yes.
Well, I'm a owner of rental property in this village, a lot of commercial property. I noticed the code states that anyone that doesn't live in the village or the town of Walton would have to hire a local agent and,
There is another section of that, or have a business.
or have a business in Walton.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Because
would-
I live 8 miles out of the village here, and I'm not in the town of Walton either, so. But if I were to close my business, then I still would be out of it. You know, maybe if the law was changed to say like a 20-mile round radius or so. What I'm saying is my kids go to school in Walton, or they did, and, you know, I'm 8 miles from the village. I'm active in business in the village here. And, you know, like you said, I think that there is people that live in the town of Franklin or the town of Hamden that are capable of being landlords in this village instead of putting it to Walton Village and town only. You know, in other words, if it was just a perimeter around the community.
Okay.
Anderson?
Sure.
One of the things that we had considered was going with extending outside the border. The problem we ran into, pardon me, the problem we ran into is just how do we extend if we go 10 miles, if we go 8 miles, if we go 5 miles, is that as a crow flies? Is that by the road? And the reason we decided to go with the township was that that's definitive where the township lies, and we can go back to the tax rolls to determine, yes, you fall within the area, or you fall outside of the area. So that was the reason that we went with just the township.
Some of that came from the attorney, didn't it, too?
Yes.
Because we kicked around with emails, so I don't know that we had a meeting with the attorney per se, but we talked about a radius of a certain number of miles from the village, and from a legal perspective, his preference by far was to do a municipal border, a governmental border of some sort that was more distinct than a radius that would be not arbitrary, but I could do to measurement per se. But his preference was to go with a governmental border of some sort for the boundary.
We'd also looked at maybe going, as Kenny mentioned, some of the neighboring townships, but then we run into the problem of just how far out do it goes and which townships. So we decided that it'd be easiest for the code enforcement officer to be able to define this is within the area, this isn't, by going to the township line.
And this also, to throw it in, that one of those things where, you know, we had some idle time on our hands and wanted to come up with just another regulation to pass. Steve, our code enforcement officer, we literally have landlords living in Puerto Rico in the extreme and pretty much everywhere in between. We have a lot of rental properties in the village, and it's been close to impossible, if not flat out impossible, to get people to respond, whether it's advocating for the tenants or just an issue with the landlord, him or herself. Not you, I'm just talking about, I'm not even mentioning names, but just, it's not unheard of to have a real problem getting a hold of a landlord or getting a response from a landlord. It's significant distance away, well outside the state, obviously.
And this will also help, not just the code enforcement, but law enforcement, fire department, they need to get a hold of someone right away. There's somebody local that they can reach and touch, and here's what the problem is.
And in a practical sense, currently you have a business in the village. Granted, you might not have that forever, but you currently have a business in the village, so I know where to find you, okay? And that being the case, it's kind of a non-issue with somebody like you. We had another business owner in a similar situation, has other rental properties in the village, and had basically the same question, the same concern. Those types of situations are not the people that I'm concerned about or are causing the village code enforcement issues. It's the people that are in New York City, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, you name it, the ones that just make it a habit of not letting themselves be contacted. So that's what this law is geared towards.
Yes.
I'm Carol Adilla. I'm a site manager for Mountain View Estates and Westbrook Apartments. We have multiple inspections already. We have REAC inspections at Mountain View that HUD sends someone out. We have inspections from USDA Real Development for Westbrook. We have to have our emergency lighting and our fire extinguishers inspected annually by a licensed electrician. And I just feel that another inspection would be redundant, plus the added expense of it. I mean, I certainly understand why you're doing it, and I would be happy to provide you with copies of the inspections that we've had done on the apartment, but I really feel that there should be some, a waiver or something for a company like ours.
Well, we're kind of mixing apples and oranges. I'll address the question or the concern, but we're kind of mixing things. The public hearing that we're having right now is regarding landlord basically landlord registration, so that if there is an absentee landlord, we have somebody local to contact. In terms of the inspections, I'm required to inspect your facilities regardless of whoever else is doing it. New York State mandates that code enforcement, in your case, once every 3 years, will go and conduct an inspection to check just exactly the things you're talking about, the fire extinguishers, electrical issues, et cetera, et cetera, et
But
cetera.
not each apartment. You don't have to now inspect it.
I'm not required to go into each apartment. I can always knock and ask. Basically, what I'm required to check is the, basically public areas, if you got laundry rooms, hallways, storage closets, things of that sort.
But this particular law wouldn't address what you were concerned about.
Okay.
It's just making sure, our big issue that we're having is there are some of these absentee landlords that we cannot get in touch with, we have a problem. And that's why we're trying to address that.
The one that comes to my mind is the one we had with the snow removal. And they own, people that from Franklin, who own the apartment complex here in the village. And they had a real tough time with us saying, okay, you've been reprimanded and have to pay the such and such an amount and so forth. But it would be so much simpler if you had somebody that, the village, Steve is the code enforcement, could get a hold of. It just makes it very complicated for everybody involved. So.
I understand that.
And if I'm understanding what you do correctly, you're the very sort of person Steve is saying he needs to have handy for exactly those sorts of reasons, somebody that's responsible that you can talk to and go to and have available.
And Bob, when it comes to your concern, I think that if it came to a point where you didn't have a business in Walton, you lived within 8 miles, there's always ways we can go back and address it for certain issues like that. We're not trying to go after anybody locally, we're just trying to get contact people. So if, say, for instance, you sold all your business and you live 8 miles away and you came back to the village, I'm sure we would make some kind of provision if we had to. You know what I mean? It's not that we're going,
Yeah, like I said, I know in Oneonta, they did have a 20-mile radius. I did have rental properties in Oneonta. And they did have a 20-mile radius. And I think that was actually for the police department too. If you were a police officer, you were allowed to leave within 20 miles. And that, what I'm just saying, like, if I did sell, just say my lumberyard and I still had, my rental business there, am I gonna have to hire a local agent? When my phone number is the 865 number and I'm always here. That's only, like I said, I think there's gonna be a couple other people in that same situation.
if there's a few that come up and have that issue, that's something we'll go back and address, and we can always modify and do what we. The main thing right now is we're looking for to get someone who is out of the area, landlord, to be able to get in touch with somebody. Right?
Yeah, and,
Okay.
it's one of those things we're gonna try to put a mechanism in place, and then, just like anything else, you're gonna deal with it on a case-by-case basis. If you pack up lock, stock, and barrel and go live at your house and never come to Walton again, and you have an issue with an apartment here, and I'm calling you on the phone, and I can't get a hold of you, and you don't respond to me, and you don't respond to letters, that's one thing. If you do that same thing, but you have an issue in an apartment, and I call you up and you say, yep, I'll be right there and take care of it, that's something completely different. So, there has to, just like anything, you have to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Anyone else care to comment about that, or make a statement, or a question? If not, then we have motion, correct?
I move that we adopt local law 40.
We have to close the public
Oh,
hearing
okay.
first. Sorry.
Make the motion that we close it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Now I move that we adopt local law 40 Bravo, the rental property and agent registration as written.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Number 2, the abstracts, payment of invoices. You all received them to take a look at them. If there's any questions you may have on them that you didn't ask already, bring them up. If not, I would take a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Second?
Second? Is that
All in
what I'm
favor?
doing tonight?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 5, trustee reports.
How about 3?
Oh, 3, how about 3? I'm sorry. I'm running ahead of myself here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get it done fast and possible. Chief, you want to come up? I know trustee was trying to skip by everything. I think you said you didn't have much.
Thought you were gonna get up that time.
I'm sorry. Everybody got a copy of my monthly report?
Yes, thank you.
Any questions, concerns?
Brian, years and several years ago, there was when child abductions got to be a big deal, or more prevalent, but there was a, families could come in, have their children, just occurred to me while I'm reading some of the report. Can people still bring a child in to be fingerprinted just for a, hopefully never use future reference?
Yes, they can. I still have some of them child cards around. They can still come in and have their child
It
fingerprinted.
just occurred to me looking over some of the stuff you've done.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a couple different out of the norm on here. You could see that we made a trip to Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. We had to go down and bring a prisoner back for court appearance here.
Is that a one-way trip?
No, unfortunately it wasn't. That was here, court appearance and back all in a day, same day.
When you do a prisoner transport like that, Does it require 2 officers or?
This case it did, it was a female, so just for precautionary reasons, there was 2 officers that went. You got any other any questions for me in regards to this, or anything else?
When you said possession controlled substance, 7th arrest, is that the 7th time that person has been arrested?
No, that's the degree of it,
There's 7 degrees.
yeah.
Are there more than 7 degrees?
Yeah, it goes on quantity and weights.
Wow.
I mean, it just progressively gets bigger. This is the least of the possession, yeah.
Any other questions of the chief?
No.
Anything you want to bring up?
Not at this point, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I won't go to 3, I'll go to the next one, we'll see. Mr. Hoyt?
Good evening.
Hi, Roger.
Good evening, Roger.
Any questions on the monthly report?
I have something, Roger. Would you pass on to your staff? When we have frozen pipes, it's always the worst part of the day, worst part of the night. Everybody's really cold, and your folks are out there working. Please let them know how much we appreciate what
Yeah.
you're
Sure
doing
will.
for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had a couple frozen pipes this past month.
Yeah.
Frost is 4.5 feet in the ground. We had to dig it all by hand with a jackhammer.
You guys ever work in good weather or favorable?
We try not
conditions?
It seems like everything breaks down on a Friday night or a Saturday or a Sunday. Okay.
And how are we doing with the salt supply?
We've got our, pretty much I hope to be our last order, and we're trying to use it sparingly as possible. And hopefully that's it for the year. We've,
We probably use as much this year we had the last couple of years, huh?
well, for the same price, we can go 20% over what I ordered.
Right.
And we're at right to that 20% over the 600 ton right now.
Yeah, the price goes up.
Then the price will jump. Yep.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Roger?
No.
Roger, anything else you need?
With the coal patch, we can't do Delaware Street, can we? So, well, you know what I'm thinking of? You remember when we met with the DOT and they talked about coming in and at least doing some, they don't consider what we have significant potholes, but they
Yeah.
agreed to come in and do what they could.
I've had so many phone calls with DOT, I mean, well, we might as well talk about it now, we brought it up. Roger spoke to one of the local guys in DOT about getting some coal patch, and he said, well, if you know a politician, maybe you can get it done. And Roger told me that, so, which is probably the wrong thing to tell me, so I immediately had 3 letters ready to be sent to Senator Bonasack and Cliff Crouch and Congressman Gibson, but I called the regional director over in Binghamton and said, this is what your local guy told us to do as far as coal patch, so I have letters I'm gonna mail to the congressman and the senator, what would you suggest that I do? And he said, hold on a minute, and then he said, we'll have coal patch down there working on your street within a day or 2. And it seems like since that time, they've been here numerous times. And I did call them back and say, thank you for sending the guys down. But I think I'm kind of in hot water with the local guy, he's really mad at, upset with me. But at least we got some of the coal patch done, so. And it's been better, but I think what happens is a lot of people, they're frustrated because their cars are hitting the holes, and I understand that. But most people don't realize that when it's cold and wet and snowy like this, you put the coal patch in, a lot of times the same day, at the end of the day, it's gone. And some people say, well, yeah, you can go out with a torch and you can make the hole warm, and then you gotta, but if you had to do that for 100 holes or 1,000 holes, you would never get it done. So we're trying to do the best we can, so. I think we're getting it. It's just been a very, very, very unusual year. It's been raining, it's been snowing, it's been cold, then it's warm, and it's just a nightmare to patch up, so, but we're trying. And DOT has been coming down, so I guess it did work. I guess, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
For now.
It's only a phone call away, I don't have a problem calling again.
I see you guys have removed the old air compressor for the fire horn.
Yeah, yeah, that went fairly well. We got it out of there and moved some things around, shelves, and made some steps and made it a little bit better for the office folks.
Nice, thank you.
Okay, great.
But
Anything else, anybody?
You having a lot of
Yep.
meter problems?
there's quite a few frozen meters this year. We changed out quite a few of them, which is a cost to the person that.
To the
I mean,
individual?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that people, if your meter has a chance to freeze, they're not cheap anymore. So you end up getting
Oh.
the expense of a new meter, which is a little over $200 now.
204.75.
Yeah. So,
It's
I mean,
all up like-
when they do freeze, they basically split the top of the meter completely out, these newer
Really?
ones. Yeah, so it's a replacement.
Then does the water leak into the house? or-
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it does,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they know when it's broke, they know when it goes.
Well, eventually they find out, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Need to go down my basement now.
Yeah, it's a good thing, try not to let it freeze.
What's that on the bottom of the list?
That's the one thing I'd like to discuss with you.
Go ahead.
Last month I touched base with you. The health department has been after me for a couple of years to look into a different corrosion control chemical. And our last lead and coppers, we did get a little bit high on the copper readings, so he's got us on a more aggressive monitoring program. And he's in the inspection report, he wrote that we should really look in now as far as changing our corrosion controls. And what we're using right now is what they call a caustic chemical. And what we're proposing to change over is the phosphate, which there's gonna be a little bit of cost. I know you like to hear this. To change over the chemical pumps and the tubing, to switch over to this new chemical, which is supposed to be a lot safer chemical, not only for the person, primarily for the person that has to handle it. It's a very dangerous chemical. I had it in my eye one time years ago. So there would be a cost on the pumps, 2 pumps, right in the range of like $730 a piece, and to set that up. And then the chemical is like $618 a barrel.
And how far does a barrel go?
Well, that's doing the numbers. And I don't quote me on this, but I'd like to say we can get away with 5 or 6 a year.
No, so 5 or 6 a year?
Yeah, it's like, and it's going to be time consuming to get it right, get the parts per million right in the system once you get using it, and hopefully once we get the system coded, we can start dropping down the dosage.
So what do you need to get started? You need a couple pumps and a barrel, a couple barrels?
2 barrels, 2 pumps, and some chemical line. And they said that the company I'm dealing with said they'll loan us a test machine for right now.
Is this something that can be done in the cold weather, or does this have to
Yeah,
wait till spring?
anytime.
Okay.
The sooner the better, because I got to do some more lead and copper monitoring before the end of June.
Did you say what the advantage of the phosphate was over the caustic?
I'm not really too familiar with the chemical, but I know what a lot of systems around it swapped over to it.
Yeah.
And supposedly it coats the line quicker, I guess, or better, or I'm really,
And the caustic has that
yeah.
carry up thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it works for us and we can get away from the caustic, I'm all for it.
And the health department is looking for us to do this.
They
correct?
have been for quite a few years, and now they're really pushing it, that we do it, something.
Okay, so it's good all around. It's good for the price, good for the people, that drink the
Mhm.
water, so.
Yep.
So we need to, okay,
Can we afford to do this?
comes out of the water system. We have to do it. We don't have much of a choice.
There's cash in the water fund.
Okay.
So I think basically I need permission from the board to change this over. I've already got a acceptance from the health department, a letter from them that they approve it, so I'm not sure. I would assume that the board would probably have to approve that
Do we need a motion?
we mess with the
Yeah,
chemicals.
we do.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Would it be possible for us to have a copy of that letter in the minutes?
Which one
The
did I
health
make?
department's
Yep,
asking.
I gave you a copy, right, Jody, or I think you had it. And she also has a copy of the report that they gave me, so.
Does this mean I'm not gonna get a jacuzzi this year?
Doesn't it cost to go back decades, doesn't it?
Well, the first time we ever had corrosion control, we were using soda ash, which is not very safe, and it was an extreme pain. And then we swapped over to caustic. I don't remember when, but it was quite a few years ago. And they've been after us, you know, to try to get something different. So I think now's the time.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions for Roger? You all done, Roger?
All right, yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Steve? Huh?
I didn't get a report from Steve, did I?
You can look at mine.
Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
You look less cold now.
Yes, I'm much better now. Took me a minute to warm up. Questions on my report?
How did training go?
Training was good. I actually got something different this time. Manufactured housing. Basically just, you know, codes related to installation of and
What's a CO search? I mean, carbon monoxide, but it doesn't.
no, it's a certificate of occupancy search.
Oh.
Yeah, when houses change hands, properties change hands,
Okay.
quite often, one lawyer or another will contact and want a CO search. And basically, you just, if it requires a CO, verify that there's one and check, you know, for any violations on the property, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you, with the new law about carbon monoxide detectors, with my original mistake, do you need to do any of that? Is that part of an inspection?
That's part of my inspection, yes.
Okay.
So, you know, in multifamily dwellings, I would be checking for them if the circumstances were such that they were required. Basically, if you've got a CO source on the same floor as a sleeping area,
Okay.
then you're required to have them. The other note, at the bottom there, training tomorrow in Delhi, that's on the, basically flood response, how to prepare for and respond to, specifically, I believe in this case floods, but any natural disasters. In terms of a municipal response, I think Roger and I are gonna head to that tomorrow.
And who's providing that?
Delaware County Planning, I believe. And then the following day, on March 5th, Wednesday, there's a flood mapping basics that's put on by DEC. I looked at the agenda on that and saw some good stuff that I probably ought to go check out. So I was going to go to that. I received, I know I've warned the board of me possibly heading off to Maryland today. I received confirmation that I was accepted for the class in April.
Oh, good.
So that's head out of here on April 6th and return on April 11th. So it's 4 full days of training plus 2 travel days. And ultimately, As I told you before, I confirmed today, basically the cost is the meal ticket, $125.20 or something like that, which we'll split with the town.
Okay.
So that'll be the cost to attend that training. I think that's a good bang for your buck.
No, it is really good.
And I am also signed up for the conference, the state conference in Poughkeepsie the end of this month. There's 3 days of training there. So I'm going to be trained out.
You're gonna be trained, this is a good training month, it's good.
But it's all, it's all good knowledge and gets me all my credits that I need to maintain my
Your credits
certifications.
Every 3 years or every year? What's the time span for your credits?
For code credits are every year, 24 credits in a year.
Okay.
And then the certified floodplain manager is 16 credits every 2 years.
Can you use the same course for both credits?
The state is actually, the State Stormwater and Floodplain Managers Association is working with state code to try to
Makes sense.
link some of those credits together, so we're not spending our entire lives training. So, other than that, I think that's all I got.
Okay.
When I get up
Any
and go away
other-
from the table, you probably won't see me again for a month, because I'll be.
Any
Where's that
questions for
state
Steve?
The state conference is in Poughkeepsie.
Okay, that's what.
No.
If no more questions, then thank you, Steve.
All right.
Thanks.
Bill?
Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hi,
Bill. Really don't have too much tonight, kind of a slow month on our end. The wastewater treatment plant, septic is down, the weather hasn't really cooperated with going out and collecting that. No purchases this month.
That's a good thing.
Good thing. We do have a project out to bid right now, the Seabud building, which is the filter building at the back of the plant. We're replacing some HVAC equipment. That project is out to bid right now. It's something that we'd come to the board a couple of months ago now to ask to go to bid, and just got to the point where we went out. Bids are due back this coming Friday, March 7th. So we're going to ask to have a special meeting, and if there's a time in the next week or two, you guys might be having a budget hearing or something like that, we could combo it up with that. Just was wondering if there's a way to do it before the April meeting. So
Yeah.
that's really the only request we have. Like the funding for that project is New York City funded, so it's not coming out of the village portion of the budget. It's just something we're trying to get done and wrapped up for this budget year.
We can talk and do that. Get a meeting together.
Okay.
We gotta do more budget workshops, so we can do
Okay,
that.
yeah, that's what Joe, we were thinking, that probably have something over the course of the middle of the month or
Yep,
something like that, would be
sure.
great. So, that's really all we had tonight.
That's a good thing.
Didn't spend
It costs us
any
any money, that's a good thing.
Any money?
Anybody, any questions for Bill? If not, thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4. Public input. Anyone care to have a few minutes to make a comment about anything, or please stand up, say your name.
I would say that the road crew is doing an excellent job with this village. We're very proud.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We agree.
Thank you.
Everybody's taking away my input.
Yes.
We kid Roger a lot, but that's only because he's so tired all the time, we know he's not gonna come back at us.
Yes, Maureen.
I'd just like to give you a very brief but certainly untimely report, since Easter is right around the corner. The community Christmas tree at NBDC was not exactly a beautiful sight last year. Actually pretty shabby looking, because the tree has grown by leaps and bounds, and the number of strings that were originally put on it about 4 or 5 years ago are inadequate plus 2 or 3 strands or strings blew before the Christmas parade. So it was really pretty bad. So the chamber has just taken advantage of the after Christmas sales, and we have ordered double the amount of original strings LED. So next year, the community Christmas tree should be a lovely sight. And this was at the tune of $500
Really?
with shipping. So,
Wow,
yeah,
And that's the sale, the after Christmas
Yeah.
sale. Yipes.
wow.
yeah.
Well, and what's nice about that, Maureen, is, I mean, this year's Christmas parade, I mean, I haven't been to all of them, but it was, I mean, it was bitterly cold, and there were people wall to wall the entire length of the parade. I mean, people were pumped. I'm not sure what it was, but there was a real difference this year, and it was fun. It really was. Everybody was excited, yelling. I mean, it was just a fun event.
Well, the Spend a Day in Walton has grown every single year. We get a lot of people coming from surrounding municipalities.
Oh, sure.
So, you want the Christmas tree to look like a Christmas tree, not like Charlie Brown.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you. Anyone else?
I
Yes.
think this is the right time. I just have a notice I need to give to the village board for an on-premise liquor application, and it's just part of my
For what application?
on-premise liquor application for a new restaurant going in on West Street, so, but this is, it's just a standard form from them. so
Yeah.
it's-
And when, do you have a date yet?
No.
We're all anxious.
We're all waiting, you know, I mean, I know that I've been following you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I haven't gone over and bothered you because I want you guys to be able to do your work.
Are you
So I'll
thirsty
be putting
yet?
my foot in there.
But, yeah, so that's the first step for me to you guys of pertaining to that. There's also, I've been in contact with Steve a little bit with CO and health, but that's different.
Being this is being videoed, do you have a name for your establishment?
It's Feather and
Feather and
Stone.
Stone.
Feather and
Restaurant,
Stone,
yeah.
and where's it gonna be located?
38 West Street, Suite 1 and 2. So,
And
Nice.
can you tell us a little bit about what you projected to?
it's going to be full-service restaurant and full-service bar with scratch food. So I'm a culinary school graduate, so a lot of background in cooking, and spent the last 7 years in Seattle. So I have a decent experience of different areas, and it was going to be American food, but regional. So Northwest, Southwest, tacos, salmon, lobster maybe from Maine, Texas barbecue. So,
Fantastic.
Nice.
I'm hungry.
We're anxious.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. It's-
Thank you.
You probably
Video.
already said your name, but could you repeat it?
Tara
for-
Jameson.
Tara Jameson.
Yeah, and
I do recognize you.
yeah, I'm formerly a Vinnie, so
Yeah.
my father, my landlord.
You have family connections,
Yeah.
huh?
So he's a guy on my landlord form.
Thank you.
So you think everything's going according to plan for you? I mean, everything?
Yeah,
is-
it's taking forever, but
It's all right. No, it's rather,
it's gonna be worth it, trust me.
take your time and do it right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Patty,
Well,
is your key?
this is, you want me to go with it?
Yes, please.
I'm back about the gazebo, and I apologize for not coming last week when it was supposed to be in the middle of the day and I forgot. I was on vacation, but I forgot. So thank you for seeing me tonight. Ed asked me to come and bring the plans that we've seen. This is a Photoshop, and please ignore the water spots because they got wet. It's in color. This is just a Photoshop version. It's not exact. Oops, I'm sorry. It's an example, but what we're looking at is an 8-sided structure, flat or close to flat on the ground. That's why I guess the contentions. See where the phone pole is that's currently there. There's 2 tree stumps. You see one on the left. This doesn't show the one on the right, but it's basically at an angle so that it is not right next to the playground that's there. I have between $7,000 and $8,000. I don't have an exact number, which our projections was we needed about $7,000. So I think and hope we have enough to build it. We aren't gonna really know that until we start to build it. but we do have some lumber that is donated. I have some quotes from Renrest. He has worked with us and will work with us. And Tinker, do you have a definite on a,
It depends on the location of this thing.
no, I mean on a builder,
No.
to be a builder
I
of
do
record?
not.
I think I have one. I tried to get a hold of him tonight to confirm it. I wasn't able to do that, so I don't want to put his name out there as that I'm using him. But he had told me he'll help build it. He's a builder right here in town. You had said that just somebody that was a builder to do it. We have 6 or 7 guys that are volunteering their time to do it. They're all guys who have done construction. So I think once we can decide, my understanding is you've decided now that for sure the other gazebo is going?
Yeah, Tink had someone come down and look at it, kind of try and give us estimates on what it would cost to refurbish the one that's in existence, and the price is cost prohibitive. So, there's no way that we can fix this one, so it has to come down.
I'm not even sure, and I don't know if there's any way to even know, but this gazebo has been in about 4 different spots in this park throughout, yeah. And I'm not sure it is the oldest one, you know what I mean? The gazebo's been there for 100 years, I'm not sure that it's this gazebo either because it's been moved around so much. I would like to preserve the old one, like you said, everybody's looked at it, it's just not gonna happen.
It's just too far gone, and and even to try and move it, we were told before, they wanted to get, it was an outrageous number. Remember, Roger, what it was, like 12, huh?
It was upwards around $15,000 just to try
Yeah,
to move it.
just to try and move it, and that's not even guaranteeing that it was gonna stay together when we tried to move it.
I got a question. What about the location of this gazebo?
What is your question on that? mean,
I just
that
want to make
me,
sure
or-
everybody's aware of this location on this piece of paper.
And, you know, my vision is that it's kitty corner. So here's Park Street, here's Griswold Street. You could go this way, so it's sitting like kitty corner on the lot in the back here. That's what this shows. If you want it facing front there, however, you know, it needs to be away from the bank is what we originally had said.
Right.
If we just pull it forward, the playground now is there, so if you're using it for a wedding that's not ethnically, aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, I had that before or something.
I'm not sure about the cupola, that wasn't in our figures. I can't find where I can buy one. I have the same builder who I believe is going to help us build one, and I know we could build one, but I don't have any prices on that. But the one that's there now doesn't have one, you know. So like I said, this isn't maybe absolutely exact. We can, but it would be Victorian like this is, and like the one that is there is, and stuff. That's what we're looking at. So as far as the decorative pieces, I'm trying to, Salvia, who is the high school tech teacher, would work with some kids with the donated lumber to carve the pieces so they'd have a piece of that too. Of course, we've sold a bunch of bricks. That sort of brings the history back in because they'll be in the landscaping and, you know, that'll, you know, there's all the local names, like all of you. And that they have a piece of that, and so that sort of brings the history back to the park because we can't save the old structure. So really the cost of the village that I can see, you said the village crew could pour the concrete. You wouldn't buy it, the fund would buy it, but pour the concrete. I guess you'd have to demolish the other one, I don't know what that entails and et cetera. That wouldn't have to be done immediately either.
I'm sure that Roger will take care of that. That's, taking down is
I was gonna say, that could be
never
fun.
quite the problem with putting up, you know.
Okay, with the existing structure, is it the sort of thing from what you've got from the historical society and everybody, where it would be wise to take have a nice photo done of it and then, you know, laminated or framed or maybe weather protected or it'd be vandalized, but just someplace have a, like.
Oh, you mean as a
commemorative wall hanging, or for lack of a better word, of the original gazebo, well, the existing gazebo, and a date on it or something, just to let people know that we know there's a memory here that we're trying to.
If we did that, I think we ought to take those old postcards that have it in all the different spaces, you know, and to show that it's been in, I mean,
Well,
it's
that's
been way
even
up
more
to the
than
road.
artsy, sure.
It's been way up to the corner, you know, I don't think it should be right on the road or right on the corner, but it has been there in different years and stuff. It's been way back there. So this would be, by my count, like a fourth location in the park. And maybe that would be kind of cool to do. I mean, I know there are postcards out there that show in those. I think that's how I know that they were in other
Sure.
places.
And then, maybe it's not, I don't do photographs. I mean, I'm lucky to get things in focus, but whether it's somebody, an
It's kind
amateur or a
of
Dan.
crappy now to do that.
Or someone, you know, somebody that, just to have a nice, well-done snapshot of it. And
Right.
then if it can be made more artsy with some history around it, all the better. But, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And I understand it needs to go. I don't have a problem with it at all. I'm just saying, once it's gone, you
Right.
can't take a picture
You're-
of something that doesn't exist.
You're absolutely right.
And it would always be there.
I have several pictures of it actually that I've taken since this project started in different seasons.
Well, then maybe it's there.
But,
Maybe-
right, I mean, even like a painting would be kind of nice
Something,
because
sure.
really it's so kind of deteriorated now that it doesn't really give it its grandeur anyway,
good
you know,
point.
at where it is now.
Good point.
of how it
This
is.
area here where you access it,
Yes.
like it may be built up, can
I
there be an
thought we
apron there?
Yeah, and I thought we talked about like a oval, a concrete oval, and then maybe like an inner concrete oval, so there'd be a step. I think that was within code or something, no, nothing
No.
stepped into the
It has
code?
to- yeah, it has
Alright.
to be I know
That's
one
what
of the
I'm
things we
saying.
talked about
That's what
was,
I'm getting at.
whatever is the front of it, I thought we talked about maybe, you know, a step up there if you want to
Yeah.
elevate a little bit. And then
Then the back had
side
to
of
be-
it would be created
Access.
so that you had accessibility.
Right.
But it could be like one step high that you then could make a ramp on the back, like the height of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pour a sidewalk, lay a sidewalk with your stones, whatever, you could make the grade so that it came up flush with the floor on the back.
And whether you have like one of the sections, have a gate built into it.
Yeah, or just have an open across
I
the,
just want everybody,
a 360
right.
able, and where this is, and like I say, this is photoshopped in there. This is just to give you an idea. This isn't to scale either. It's probably pretty close, but I gave, that's the other paperwork I gave you.
That's nice.
Chris Morgan gave us
10
the,
feet is nice and high.
and I think that's like what the one is now. Maybe that's without the cupola, but, what you call it, you know, there is a house back there, so it's not the most scenic spot either, but neither was the bank with all the trees that are down. So, I mean, we're working with what we're
I
working
was just
with.
gonna say, there's only so much you're gonna be able to do with the property you have.
Right, and if you're having a wedding there, and you, I mean, there would be room to put chairs all the way around this.
You
So-
got one there now.
You, what?
You got one there now.
Oh, this is chair there.
And this one.
You could put chairs at 360 all the way around, and then you wouldn't trip up the steps when someone left you there at the bottom. And stuff, so I mean, you know, not, like I say, it's, that back hill isn't the most scenic part of Walton, but that, it's
You know
the
what?
place where the park, you know, this is the park where it's always been, I think that's the park where it should be. So, but, I guess you guys just have to vote on placement and that definite and whatever, I don't know where your next step is, but, and if you have any other questions for me.
Well, I'm thinking that as long as everybody understands where you're talking about it and everybody's okay with it, that's one thing. If you, I mean, it can be moved over a little bit, I mean, it don't have to be exactly, I understand what the point you're saying, that if we were to move it up from where it is right now, it would be almost adjacent to the
playground.
To the playground. And
You could move it up so that it was facing front, here's the playground, and move it like from here to here that it's facing front, I don't care, you know, and stuff. I was just thinking kitty corner just because then you'd have, so
Yeah.
if you had people sitting in a circle, you could have people walk it down an aisle, like kind of thing and stuff. I mean, there really wasn't an aisle, as you all know, I got married there really wasn't an aisle then either. We walked this way and then we walked down, because it's not. And so, it'll work, no matter what. I just don't think it should need to be near the playground. You know, and the playground's there to stay, and I have my own thoughts about the playground having been there, but the kids love it, like when the gazebo's used for, and that's only because there's one at Townsend School, I just thought they were a lot in proximity. But, when there's the concerts at the park, the kids play with that, on that playground all the time, you know, so it's a
Yeah.
well-used
I was just gonna
playground.
say that.
Right.
The concert there, I see
Right.
them all over there playing, so.
Absolutely, so, you know, it's there and there's no reason it can't be there, I just think that a little separation between these two entities is a nice thing.
Personally, I think it should come out away from the bank. That's a-
Yeah, we're talking about that, right?
No, all right, but just so everybody knows.
Come away from the bank, so when there's any, God forbid, water or whatever's coming down, it's not gonna go right on top of this,
I had
or this
to
one.
refresh my memory, but when do kids still slide down that bank in the winter? And would that dictate needing to have it, if they do?
Right.
Does that then dictate any consideration for placement, so you don't have kids coming down
Right.
slamming into it?
I don't think they're encouraged to do that, I don't
No.
know, that's you guys.
No, it's
thing.
not, that's not a place, if you recall, we had an incident there,
Several years ago now.
yeah, was it 7 years?
Five,
5 years
maybe.
ago, where someone came down and got hurt really bad,
Really
so you're not supposed to be sliding
Yeah,
over
but
there.
well, I couldn't agree more,
Yeah.
but I didn't ask, you know,
Right, if they should-
if they should, or if they're
Yeah.
allowed to, I said,
Well, if
do
we
that.
put it there and they come sliding down, they do it at their own risk, they're not supposed to be there. We've been told they're not, they're there against.
Yeah, maybe you put a metal plate on the hillside of the.
As a matter of fact, that, if you look down at Austin Lincoln Park, when you come down to the first parking lot on the left-hand side, if you look up on that hill, Roger and the crew cleaned that all out like 5, 6 years ago, so that people wanted to go sledding and they can go up there on the top and come on down, so.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Yeah, that was it. But the last 3 or 4 years, we haven't had much snow, so.
We got over that this year, didn't we?
Yeah. we did.
And we thought the Christmas parade was cold until we had the rest of this one.
Yeah.
It turns out that it was pretty balmy that.
So everybody's all right with that? I mean, we'll.
I'd like to,
Question? Patty, if you were to look in your crystal ball, what do you think the start of construction would be?
That's up to
Or
these
maybe
guys
the
until,
finish?
you know. I'm hoping to have it finished for concerts. I know that's your concern.
The concerts in the park, the first one is scheduled for June 16th. Does that seem feasible?
I would hope so.
How long does it take to build something like this?
I don't know, I might be unrealistic in this, but I think it could be done in a weekend or two.
Huh, okay, whatever. Roger, and when you put down a pad there, how long does it have to sit before you can actually start building on it?
The biggest problem is we have right now, we gotta wait, is the frost ever gonna get out of the ground before we even start doing anything? That's the biggest thing.
Well, I think the safe thing would be, we don't know, I mean, because where we live,
Right.
we could have a problem with the frost and it could take longer. So I'm thinking that the last thing we're gonna do is take down the gazebo
Right.
until we have the other one up. So if, and God forbid, we get snow in May like we do it sometimes, we'll still have the old gazebo to work with. Is that okay? So we wouldn't have any.
Provided the musicians don't fall through the floor.
Yeah, well.
Yes.
Well, that's why we're doing this, to begin with.
Okay.
And now, the plans that we have here call for an Alaskan slab, am I saying that right, Tinker? It is,
Yeah.
right? Which is supposed to be a frost,
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
What everybody's
Yeah,
been talking about?
You want a thickened slab around the perimeter where your weight's going to be.
But Roger, once the slab is poured, how long, once, you know, the truck pulls away, how long do you need to wait before you can work with the concrete as far as,
Curing period.
the curing period?
Well, the state requires 28 days.
A month?
Well, this is why I don't know if the June thing in my own mind is feasible.
of course, I was hoping that that was.
Are
gonna be
we-
before the
are
fall,
we-
but that didn't happen, so.
Are we weighed down by that 28 days that we have to actually do it? Or, I mean, is that a
You can basically start a few days after.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, we'll get through that then.
Because it's not like a livable structure? Does that make a
Yeah.
difference?
Well, it's
Yeah.
not a bridge.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a bridge.
Okay.
do we have to decide tonight the location? Is that what you're looking for? Because I'd really like to have a chance to go one more time and look at it, just to get a feel for it.
I thought this had been decided and, you know, it's up to you guys and I'm not trying to press you and stuff, but I kind of stopped working on selling bricks and I don't know if we need more, we don't need more. We can't ever not use more money. I mean,
Sure.
I would like to buy cameras that are there, that maybe the feed goes into the police station, which I know you're not gonna be sitting there watching, but at least if something happened there, there'd be a camera to go back to.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. So if we raised a little extra money, that's not a bad thing, but I just didn't really want to go out there until I knew that this was really green light, go ahead kind of thing, so.
If I could suggest, there's snow on the ground, you grab yourself a can of paint and you go out there and use the eco-friendly paint, but go out and spray a circle where you envision it to be. And then that gives folks an opportunity to take a look, because it sounds to me like, I mean, the decision is exactly where we can put this thing. So, I mean, if you paint a circle out there,
Then you know.
at least people will have an idea, and then
Do you have an alternate place you think it should be, Charlie?
I just need to look at it. So that's all.
Patty, how much are you shy from what you have and what the cost is?
I don't think I'm shy. I hope that I'm where I need to be. We had projected 7,000. I'm somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 that we have in the bank for this project, so I'm hoping that we're there. But like I said, there are people, I've sold several bricks in memoriam to people that have died this winter, you know, and stuff like that. And I think that could be an ongoing thing. And I talked to Ed about that, you know, if we have a supply and it's a local business, Furman's, that are doing it, if someone came into the village and said, I'd like a brick in the gazebo path, we could still do that after the fact.
Sure.
You know, and I think that would be nice. It'd be a nice ongoing tribute kind of thing in Walton. But I really just haven't promoted it until I know that we're really doing this. And
But we really are gonna do
Yeah.
this. I would say, we're definitely doing this.
It's
If
just
we
a
can make it
matter
a
of
little
where.
step up, it's good. I mean, we can give you the okay as far as doing it and everything like
Okay.
that. You can go
Yeah.
ahead with it. It just,
Fine
maybe a couple
tuning.
wanna just look at that little area. So, and even if we're not 100% right there, it's only gonna be a matter of a couple feet either way. So it's gonna be
Right,
the
so it's gonna be
same-
in that area
It's
is
staying in
what you're
that same general area. Is that okay?
Are you able to, I mean, just so it doesn't, just for you, doesn't drag on, are you able to pick a day and a time where
Whether,
the mark, like Steve says, a great idea, where the mark can be there, and, you
And then
know,
let you know.
if you wanna have input, you know, the board,
we could all meet there one day as far as that's concerned and you know, it doesn't have to be where I'm saying, that was just, you know, first of all, there's a telephone pole there, which you need the electricity because there's bands, Jameson's played at my wedding. You know, that you have to have hookups for lights, you have to have hookups for the bands that
it could be
come.
one of those classic things where everybody is sitting here knowing exactly where you mean. We get over there and find out we've got 6 different places in mind.
Exactly.
okay.
The other thing is, can that telephone pole be moved?
No.
Is that something nice they would do?
Actually, he's gonna charge like $300 just to do the service. And he's gonna do them just to hook up.
We need that for the electrical.
We need a pole for the electrical.
But I'm saying, can we just move it
No,
if it's in the way? No?
no.
It's not really in the way, there's a pole behind the one that's there now for the same reason.
Okay.
I mean, it's just on the bank, you don't notice that telephone
It
pole.
blends in
because
with the
it's-
trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff, but it's there for the same reason, to provide electricity to the gazebo.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the reasons I picked that spot, was because it had easy access, you know.
Okay.
And I can mix.
Patty, is the proposed 2 feet bigger than the existing? We had talked about that.
So the area of it, is it bigger than,
I don't remember mine.
Because we had talked about enlarging it by 2 feet.
It's 8-sided, I don't remember, I think, and please don't quote me, I handed out all my things, I think it's 24.
24 is what it says.
It's 24, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. I don't remember what the one that's there is, if it's,
Okay,
20,
because at
22,
the
whatever.
original meeting, it was agreed that everyone thought if it was going to be rebuilt, it should be 2 feet bigger than the existing.
well, it's gonna be 24, I can't tell you what the one
yeah, I
is now.
think it is, but I think the other one's not quite that big.
But
I'm mistaken.
there was also talk about elongating it, which is more a pavilion than a gazebo, and et cetera. We're not doing that, it's gonna be a gazebo, but making it that 2 feet isn't gonna do that anyway, I mean, but it would be a gazebo shape. But I think the standard was 24, if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't remember.
What are these dimensions?
I said the standard is 24, I thought, which is what he made this to.
This one is 24.
Right. And I don't know what the one is there now, to tell you the truth.
I think it's less than that. I'm
20 sticks in my head.
20, yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's like 4 foot different, I figure.
And don't those things
Yeah.
tend to go on
The other one, I
4
think,
foot
was
increments?
20.
I'm just for the lumber.
So it is a little bigger.
It is big, it's about 4 foot.
2 feet usually.
Oh, good, okay.
Okay, is there anything, Jody, that we need to do do we have to approve this going through like that, to make a motion so it gets done?
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay. We just have, the location, if it's gonna be a couple feet,
Okay.
that doesn't matter, we
Just
can still make a
getting
motion.
I moved it.
Huh?
The motion is for permission?
Yeah.
Yes, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So, they got the okay, it's just,
Thank
now
you.
we can get together one day, just verbally, physically look at it.
Right. And I can go over and do that with the spray paint as he's saying, if you want me to, or we can just go over and,
Maybe
you know,
in part of one of our workshops, we can just meet there and come over to.
We're gonna have a workshop in the
oh,
next
your
week and a half.
budget workshops. What time a day are you doing them? During the day?
Yeah, well, usually,
Well, you know.
we've done one at 9 and we've done one at 2 o'clock, so it's good.
Well, I'm not far away. 2 o'clock would be bad because of dismissal, but 9 o'clock would be fine. I mean, I could just take time off from work to run over there with you guys. That's not a
For
big
5
deal.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Okay,
other thing
we'll let you know,
is
we'll give you a call on
this.
that one. But you got the okay to go ahead on it, so we know that, so
Thank
that's
you.
good?
Thank you all.
It's the
All
only
right.
pole in here.
Thank you,
You're supposed to take
coming
that
again.
away.
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Patty. Okay, we'll go to trustee reports now. I had wanted some easily to go before, I don't know why, but Teresa, we'll start with you today, how's that?
Good, that's fine,
Okay.
and because I don't have anything to say. But thank you.
Okay, Pink, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Roger and his crew for all the good work they've done and so forth and keeping up with the schedule. I really appreciate it from this end. Thank you.
Dave?
No, Bill covered it, and there's not a lot going on right now, not yet anyway.
Okay, Charlie?
Yes, and ma'am, one of the things that you touched on, and now it's my turn. We talked previously about fire safety and property maintenance inspection fees. And what the problem is currently, it's one of those unfunded requirements by the state that we perform periodic fire inspections. And there's no specified fee for doing that. What we're proposing is that we establish a fee. The proposal would be that, and the current village fee schedule doesn't include any fees for it, but there is precedence, such as Town of Colchester charges $50 for each of their fire and safety inspections. What we propose is, for the inspections, multifamily inspections would be $40 for inspection. They're required to be done every 3 years. Commercial inspections, also $40, and also every 3 years. Assembly would be $25 annual. And assembly is basically commercial occupancy capable of holding 50 people or more. And there would be no charge for churches. And if there's a problem with an inspection, a major failure with it, then there would be a re-inspection fee to come back and follow up on that of $75. And that fee would be basically charged if there's numerous electrical issues or unserviced fire suppression system, uninhabitable structure, things that the code inspector determines are significant. In that case, there could be a $75 reinspection fee. As I mentioned, the precedence is, and there are other communities such as Colchester that charges that much, charges for their fire inspection fees. This would be like a driver's license for those that use the facilities. The owners would be paying for the service instead of spreading it all across the community. It does not apply to individual residences. So, and the current code for the village does authorize us to charge these fees, just doesn't state what we would charge. So I would entertain a motion, or I will make the motion that we amend the village code to include the fees as I mentioned previously.
Charlie, at this time, you're just talking about the fire inspection fees, is that
Just the
correct?
fire inspection fees, yes. The whole fee schedule for the village, we hope to start working on that and have that something to bring to the board next month.
I'll second Charlie's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And next month we'll have, and the current fee schedule hasn't been addressed in quite some time, so we'll be bringing that up to speed. Again, looking at what different communities are doing around the county so that we're in line with them. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mayor's report, I don't have a lot to say, which is good. Again, like everyone else is saying, I want to thank the DPW crew. They've really been working hard on all the potholes, all the digging up they had to do. You know, I talk to Roger every day. I also want to commend our police department. You know, they're also the unsung heroes. You don't hear about them that much, but they're working around the clock, and they need to be thanked also. So tell the chief thank you for us. Just want to make everybody aware that elections this month, March 18th, at the Village Hall from 12 to 9. We have 2 trustees up, Dave Breeze and Alan Reynolds, AKA Tink, are running. Please go out and vote. Also, I want the people to be aware that we're working on our budget. You know, we've been given a very diligent task of trying to keep our budget as close to the wire as we can. And I'd like the public to know that nobody's safe with us. I mean, Roger has lost his last part-time guy. We're down to the bones with that. We've been talking to the chief and trying to cut money back as much as we can. It's just been very tough. I mean, everything has gone up, as people know, and unfortunately, most people's pensions and things don't go up, but all the rest of the bills that we get keep going up, and it's kind of hard to keep it within the percentage that we want. I'd like people to realize that when the village raises 1%, we're talking $10,000. I mean, it's not a lot of money. You know, when some municipalities raise their 1%, you're talking 60, 70, 100,000 or better. So if you hear us 1 or 2 or 3%, it's not that we're raising the budget, you know, up for $100,000. We're talking 30,000. Our retirement, our pensions that go for the workers that are working that we have to give to the state went up $60,000 last year. That's 6 points. And, you know, we've been trying to cut back in other places to make her. The health benefits last year went up. They're going up all around the country, as you know. So it's tough. And I'm not trying to put gloom and doom, but I'm just letting you know that it is tough, but we're keeping it right to the wire. We're not buying any equipment that we don't need. We're not spending any overtime that doesn't have to be done. We're operating like we were operating the day that we had the flood back in 2006, when things were really bad and dire. We're asking people to cut back. We're asking the workers not to put in time they don't have to. So I just wanted the public to know that we're aware of what's going on out there and that we're on top of it, and we're only going to do what we have to do just to survive. We're in survival mode, and that's it. So I thought everybody should know about that, and we have a bright prospect. I mean, a lot of things are going to be happening. We need people also, while we're on the topic of taxes, every year we make a certain amount of taxes to just cover our bills. And we have a certain group of people that have gone a long time without paying their taxes. And what they're doing is they're hurting the rest of us, because we're all taxpayers here. There are people in the village that owe us 4 or 5 years of taxes. And we're going to be going, we've retained a lawyer, and we're coming after you. And we're gonna have to foreclose if you don't pay your taxes. It's not fair on the 95 other percent of the village that pays the taxes. You know, I mean, and I'm sorry, it's not that I'm picking, I'm just want to let you know that why we get in a jam like this sometimes is because you have that percentage that doesn't pay the taxes, and it puts everything else in a hole for us, and we're behind the 8 ball, and it makes it very difficult. So hopefully, people will hear this and they will pay the taxes, and this way everyone else is saved from any kind of increases. But if we don't get it, that's why we always come back and say we got to raise for this, because we're just not getting our taxes.
It almost sounds like we're playing hardball, I suppose in a way we are, but when you think about, if $20,000 in that, I mean, it's a whole lot more than that, but if in any one year, $20,000 in unpaid taxes doesn't come into us, that's the equivalent of raising everybody else's taxes village-wide 2%. And that's, and the taxes that don't come in every year are much greater than 20,000. But that's that item alone is equivalent to a 2% tax increase for everybody else. Or if all that money does come in, it'd be 2% less that we'd have to raise through taxes, however you want to look at it. But it's, when that hit that figure of, or gave us that figure of 1% only raises $10,000, I mean, I'm surprised we're able to do what we do, to be honest with you.
We have a budget roughly around $1.2 million, we'll give or take a little bit. We generally collect probably 95%, right? That'd be safe to say. So as of right this moment, we're about $106,000 of people that owe us 3 years or more in back taxes. If we had that, just that right now, that $106,000, we'd be fat and happy here singing that everything's good and we don't have no raises to worry about, because that's a lot of money for us. We have 95% roughly collected this year. That's another $55,000 roughly on top of that. So we're out right now about $150,000. And that would be 15 points on our budget. That's a lot of money. If we had that right now, we'd be singing the praises, everybody, wouldn't we talking about cutting back, we'd be okay. Yes?
Question, do other municipalities allow a backlog of 4 or 5 years?
No, here's what generally happens. There's a lot of counties in New York State. Unfortunately, Delaware County is one of the few counties that the county doesn't, generally speaking, what happens is the county, which would be up in Delhi, would write a check to all the villages for all the taxes that we have. Say we have $1.2 million in tax money, they write us a check for $1.2 million. If nobody pays their taxes, the county has a machine already in order that they would go in and start the foreclosures after 3 years, and they would collect all the money. But Delaware County and 1 or 2 other counties are the only ones that the county doesn't come in and help the villages with their back taxes. So we're left in the dark. And the only way we can do it is to hire our own attorney and pay the money and then go after them individually. The county now is talking about doing a pilot program, and we're trying to get into it where they would start collecting the taxes for us. But that won't be until next year. So meanwhile, we're stuck with this $100 and some odd thousand, and if we don't do anything, next year it'll be $150,000. So we need to take action right now so that we can get money, so we don't always have to go to the well for you guys. But you've paid your taxes. Why do you have to pay the penalty? Because we can't, but we have to get the work done. You know what I mean? So we're at catch-22. Yes.
Have you started collecting credit cards? I know you had talked about it when we had our joint meeting. Started using credit cards to collect taxes. Are you doing that now or not?
No, we're not right now.
Because my understanding is that when the town did that, that helped their collection amount.
For the taxes?
Yeah.
Well,
So it might be a thought.
Okay, it's a thought. So I just wanted to get out there so people know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and there's no hidden agendas, there's no secrets. You know, anybody that knows me knows that I'm right up in front, and I'll tell you to your face what's going on. And this is the truth. And they're gonna be getting, the people that owe us the money are gonna be getting letters very soon. The lawyer is making up a letter, letting them know that, please pay your taxes, but if not, we're gonna come after you. Now, with that said, if you remember back a couple months ago, we gave an amnesty. We gave them X amount of days to come up to pay their taxes with no penalties. And then we gave them a second time to go back, and another time where they can pay 50%. say on that.
How successful was it?
Not very.
Not very. There was some, and I'm glad that they did, but now they've kind of forced us into a position that now we have to go after
And
them.
it's not a matter of principle, and we're talking about real hard dollars that we need to make up by taxing the rest of the village, because it's not as if we can write checks against anticipated income from people that haven't paid their taxes for 2 or 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's money that we should have had, could have done stuff with, or not raise taxes more for everybody else. I mean, it's, you know, like I said, $150,000 is 15% on the tax roll. It's,
So, it's just, I'm just trying to get everything out there so people will know and they see where we're coming from, and there's no hidden agendas, and that's it. With that said, it's not woe, we're not always woe. I mean, we're doing okay. We've come a long ways in the last year. There was light at the end of the tunnel. There are other business talking about coming into Walton. I can't just go into it right now, but if it happens, I'll let you know. There's a couple good prospects of good businesses coming in here. People are starting to look at us. So it's a lot of good things going on.
We've had a lot of businesses open in Walton
Yeah.
last year. I mean,
But I'm talking about a couple big businesses where you got 50 or 60 jobs
right,
coming.
which is better yet. And-
Yeah.
But the thing is that thank God for the people that will open the business and take
Yeah.
the
Yes.
risk to themselves, and there have been, I wouldn't say there were less than 12
Yeah.
that opened in Walton in the last year,
Yeah.
which is, in this economic time, God love you. Thank you.
Well, it's good, you know, I can remember, I've been here almost 17 years in Walton, and I remember when I first came here, and you can remember back then, I came right after the 96 flood, okay? And there were 21 or 22 empty storefronts on Delaware Street. Because I remember making the turn and going like, oh my God, what happened over here? And, you know, not knowing what went on.
Right.
And, I mean, if you go down there and look now, yeah, you might see 5 or 6, but we've come a long way, boy. And,
5 or 6 in every village.
We've
Sure.
really come a long way, so I think we're doing well. Yes?
I know it's not open to the public now, but I would like to just be able to address the board for one moment,
When we're,
at your convenience.
yeah, I know, we know about it. We're gonna go in executive session for you. Okay, I'm done. We'll go to number 7. Order the service agreement.
I sent a copy of Mostert, Manzanero, and Scott's proposal for the year to everybody. We just need, if nobody has a problem with it, permission for Ed to go ahead and sign the agreement.
I move that the board grant permission to the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This just gives us okay to go ahead and tell our orders to come next year and do our orders again. Number 8, metal detecting in Austin, Lincoln. There was a gentleman, Jared Mead, that came here a few years ago and asked to use his metal finder in the park, and we gave it to him, and he had a good time, I guess, doing it. Sometimes they do it on the beach, so he likes to do it in the park. He hasn't been around last year, and he came back and wants to do it again. I think you've all seen the letter, so I think it's fine, so, but need a motion.
So moved that we approve.
Well, the only caveat to that was, our attorney said if there was anything of value, and when I questioned what was of value, he said currency or jewelry. If he found that, it was to be turned over to the police department for 6 months. So, as long as he's willing to do that.
Okay.
I'll amend my motion to include that caveat.
You gonna second
Second.
it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 9, reduction of sewer units. Wanna,
Yep. I was trying to write something. We received a letter from Louis Banker for 141 Delaware Street. The building was taken down. He's requesting a reduction in his sewer units. It was currently at 2.5, and we would move it down to 0.75. So I need a motion to do that.
Is that accurate, Roger? Yeah.
Building's gone.
Yeah, well, I just didn't know, according to
Yeah.
how many bathrooms were in each, I don't know how, how
Well,
that's
empty,
decided.
nope, an empty lot is .75.
Oh, I see, okay.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 10. The county stipulation for past due taxes.
This is all me, huh? We received a letter from the county. We typically do this every year, go in, and piggyback on the properties that the county's foreclosing. So we'd need a motion to do that. The only problem is they'll run up and pay the county and they won't pay the village. So then we're still left out, which is why we have to do our own foreclosure procedure. But
What's the advantage of doing it then?
well, if they actually do go to foreclose and they sell the property, then per the stipulation, we receive a percentage of whatever the property sells for.
Oh, if the county forecloses, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
like they'll get like a sandwich for them and a sandwich for them, and we'll get the breadcrumbs. That's what it works out to, not much.
And you need a motion for
Yeah.
that, Jody?
Mhm.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it. Thank you very much. We're gonna be going to executive session.
One other
Oh,
thing.
we have another one on
Yep,
this.
the election ad that I need to put in the paper.
Oh, that's right. Jody needs to put an ad in the paper for the election on March 18th.
And you need a motion for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. No, thank you for coming, everyone. Next, we're gonna go into an executive session to speak to Roberta Dunford for the Teamsters, about a Teamsters contract. Okay.